Yo, what's up, dude? You know, it was one of the craziest eye openers in my life was when I did my first ever Muay Thai fight on June 30th, 2023. So, quick backstory, man. Before that, I was working at the startup. I was doing a sales job there, and I wasn't performing. Actually, there are moments where I was doing all right sales wise, and I was like, hitting targets and making okay commission. But there are other moments where I wasn't performing that well and not really at the level that I wanted to. And, at the time, I was also kind of like trying to figure out what it is that I want because, I mean, clearly my subconscious was telling me that I was unhappy working this desk job. I was just experiencing so much chronic stress because I always felt like I was behind on targets. I always felt like I was just behind on everything. And it's weird, because when you don't really search for a purpose in life by yourself, well, the system and life kind of will choose it for you, right? Like when you get complacent and you're just like, okay, I'm going to become an employee so I can make some money because that's the definition of successful, traditionally speaking, at least from our parents and society and whatnot. Like you end up in today's day and age, it's different than 40 years ago, 30 years ago, or whatever. In today's day and age, becoming an employee is the equivalent of complacency because you're not really taking life by the balls and choosing the direction that you want. You are basically in a position where you have a boss that tells you what to do, and you better follow what your boss tells you what to do. Well, otherwise, yeah. And then in addition to that, there's the whole like HR, company culture shit, which is like, all right, follow, you got to act and behave in this certain way. You can't really speak in this manner. You need to speak in this manner. You need to speak positively, regardless of how shit your circumstances are. Anyways, man, so I got fired from, that was the first time I ever got fired from a job, was from that specific position. And at first, I was like, I felt kind of bad about it. But at the same time, I felt like some sort of relief. And because I was just so happy that they were paying me to leave. Because that's the thing, man, is like if you get fired, it's actually better than you quitting because they pay you to leave, especially if you've been with the company for a while. They got to pay you out on whatever it's called. I forget how you call it when they pay you out on. That's how long it's been since I've worked a corporate job. Because I forget what they call it when they pay you out. But anyways, so they fired me in April of 2023. And because I had been kind of like casually training Muay Thai and I was like really like 3 years deep into my fitness journey, I was like, all right, for a very long time, I've been wanting to train in Thailand, train Thai style, where you train twice a day, live in like a hut somewhere in the jungle on an island. And all I do is just like train. And yeah, I really wanted that experience, So I ended up booking a flight to Thailand with the idea of going to one of the islands and training Muay Thai there, like Koh Phanang, Koh Tao, Koh Samui. At the time, like my Muay Thai level was, yeah, it was shit. Thailand a little bit. I went to Koh Phanang. I tried a kind of beginnerish gym over there and saw a bunch of fights. There was all these kids having like their first fights, like these 20-year-old kids from the US, and just like, yeah, I kind of got like a good idea of what like a beginner level Muay Thai scene looked like. But I didn't really like the vibe there. I just felt like it was just kind of clicky, and I didn't really feel. I also got they were sparring really hard. Since I didn't really have a level either, I didn't have any good defense. And I was just like getting my fucking ass kicked by people, and I didn't really click with anybody, and I felt like a little bit of loneliness and boredom in Koh Phanang. So I was just like, all right, I'm gonna leave. So I ended up going to Koh Samui. Oh, also I had a fucking skin infection there. Just my first ever skin infection. Got on antibiotics, and it's like, all right, let me maybe take some time to let this heal and not train. So I went to Koh Samui, spent 2 days there, And after spending time in Koh Samui, I was like, you know what? Like a friend of mine recommended a gym to me in Phuket. This was Sing Patong Sitnam Noi. They've since changed their name and started a new location. It's now called Petnam Noi, and it's the same. The owner of that gym is also the promoter, is also a promoter in Phuket, and he has one fight night every week. One of one of the 3 or 4 fight nights that you have in Phuket. Maybe there's more, but this is like more specifically for Patong Boxing Stadium, which is like one of I think like probably the most higher. Like it's a higher end event basically, right? And the level is quite high over there as well. So I went over to that gym, and over there I fell in love with it. It's very traditional, um, where they don't really handhold you. It's just like very Thai style. They push you very hard. A ton of clinching was involved, a ton of conditioning, running, and yeah, I got super hooked, man. And here's what's crazy is like, here's what's really crazy. So I initially booked like a 1 month round trip, and I basically, like, I'd say in week 2 is when I went to Petnam Noi, to Sing Patong Sitnam Noi. And I fell in love with it in like week 2 or 3. And I was just like, okay, dude, I need to stay longer than this. And so what I did is I ended up actually like extending my stay for like a total of 3 months. And this was like a crazy eye opener for me because it was like, after having graduated university, I never like just took time for me to just not be in like work or employee mode. Like this was the first time ever where I was able to focus on the shit that like I felt like really passionate about, you know? And so I ended up booking like a total of 3 months there, and I was just like, yo, I just want them to give me a fight. I want to have that experience because I was all in on the training. I've never been all in on something that wasn't related to being a fucking employee, right? And they were like pretty hesitant in giving me a fight towards the end. Anyways, I'm jumping around here. I'm jumping around. Let me try to get focused on what it is that I'm trying to tell you in the right chronological order. So, here's the crazy thing is it's definitely overtraining, right? You're running from 6 a.m. all the way to 7, then at 7 a.m. you're sparring, hitting pads. Sometimes you hit pads 2 times a day, sometimes once a day. But the point is that like you're training like 5 to 6 to 7 hours a day, right? Crazy, crazy, crazy volume. That because I was so hungry to improve my level, I actually ended up adding um, 10 private. I did 10 privates per month. So month 1, I was kind of jumping all over, right? Then month 2, I would train twice a day plus 10 privates. So twice a week or 3 times a week, I would hit pads. In addition to the pads that I'm hitting and the training that I'm doing in the morning and the afternoon. And then I did that again in the second month as well. So talk about overtraining. And my physique actually changed quite a bit there too. I think this was the first time where I kind of started looking like very skinny and like very, very, very lean. Because I think I was like kind of lean, but I still had like a bit of a chubbier face when I was still working like corporate desk jobs. But here, like, because of how much I was overtraining, and I didn't even think of the words overtraining. That wasn't even a thing in my mind. For me, it was just like improve skill level, improve skill level, improve skill level. I was obsessed, you know. And I was really, really hoping that they were gonna give me a fight because I kept hinting at it, and they were just like, whatever. Like, they were just like, no, no, we're not gonna give you a fight. You're not ready. Because the level in Phuket, and especially at the fight nights that Num Noi has, it's like it's a higher level, especially getting your first fight in there. It's not good, you know. I had a friend. Her name was Belinda, and she really wanted to get a fight in before she would return to France, where she lived. And they were just like, no, we can't get you a fight. It's too late. You didn't ask us like early enough, which is like kind of uncommon now. But I guess it's because of the level that we had. And so she was just like, yo, there is on PP Island, there's like this bar where they just let tourists fight. And if I can't get a regular fight, then I want to do like one of these tourist fights. Because she only had like, I think, one amateur back home or 2 amateurs back home. And she was like, "You want to come with me?" And I was just like, "You know what, man? Like, I'm so burnt from doing like 3 sessions a day. You know, I'm so fucking burnt. There were moments where like I would throw up from how much I was overtraining. You know, and I didn't care. Like to me, it was just like I need to keep pushing. I need to improve my skill level. I need to do that fight. I was addicted and obsessed with doing that fight. So she was just like, "Hey, like, do you want to come with me to PP Island?" I was just like, "Dude, this will be a great opportunity for me to just like rest a little bit and recover." So we go to PP Island and we go to Reggae Bar, and nobody wants to fight her. Nobody wants to fight her. And I'm just like, she was like, "You should go in the ring." So I go in the ring, I raise my hand, and nobody wants to fight me either. Until this like 95 kilo, 100 kilo rugby player that's like this like 20-year-old kid is just like, "Yo, I'll fight you." And I was confident, man. I was so confident because this rugby player, like you could tell that he didn't have any fighting experience. You could tell that this was just like him wanting to try something new. Whereas for me, like I've been training hardcore for like 2 months ish, 1 month. I don't remember exactly how long. And so, and then like it ended up being like with 16-ounce gloves and like a headgear, and I'm like fucking brawling with this 95, 100 kilo guy, and I'm probably like what 70 kilos at the time, and and I win. I win the fight. He rocked me a couple times, right? But like, damn, did I score so many punches? It was a boxing match. It wasn't Muay Thai. It was a boxing match. And so there was a video of that, and I won, and I was just like so fired up, you know. And I ended up showing like Krudang, who was the guy who was holding pads for me every single day in the privates. I developed a great relationship with him, and I actually want to rekindle that relationship sometime in the future. I do want to go back to Phnom Noi, but I show him the video of me just like fucking up this 100 kilo rugby player in a tourist bar, and he's just like, wow. Like I think what he saw was just like, wow, this guy. He actually showed like some heart. He was like, you could tell that I was like hungry to like fuck this guy up. So when Krudang saw that, during the same exact session, he was just like, "Okay, you want to fight Patong Boxing Stadium 3 rounds?" I'm just like, "Yes." And he's just like, "Okay, you got it." He was like, talk to Mad, who was like the other head trainer. So we talked. They put me on the scale. They got my picture taken, and boom, next thing you know, my picture is on the fight card everywhere in Patong City in Phuket. And I saw my opponent for the first time. Then we go into the ring. We like the night of the fight. I show up at the stadium and I check the schedule, like to see what fight number I am and everything. And they changed like the name of my opponent, and it said like instead of it saying, oh, I forget what the guy's name was initially, some shit. Because I looked him up on Instagram and he looked like somewhat of a beginner. It was a Thai. I was like, okay, this is like a fair matchup. It's good. It's good. I'm ready to fight this fucking Thai. But they changed it, dude. They changed the name to Erawan. And then like one of my boys who came to the stadium with me was just like, I was just like, do you know who that is? They were just like, yeah, that's the guy who beat Hakeem, who's our European champion. And Hakeem's like a fucking solid guy who was like 40 fights and like has won many, many fights with Phnom Noi. And dude, that was such a fucking mental curveball. I was like, dude, I'm gonna fight the guy that beat Hakeem. And so I just like went into this fucking mental spiral of just like freaking out. And I'm like getting my Thai oil rubbed down. They're wrapping my hands and I'm shadowboxing and I still can't see who it is. And I'm asking my boy to go to the other corner. I'm just like, is it the same guy? Is it the same guy? He's like, yeah, it's the same guy. And I'm like, fuck. And then I have like this moment where I'm just like, well, look, you went through all this hard training. You went through all of this bullshit. You're so obsessed with getting that first fight. If you had the opportunity to back out right now, would you back out? And my answer to myself was absolutely not. We've went through all of this. You've come such a long way from working a fucking desk job where you were miserable. You're now about to do a professional fight in front of like 300 people, right? And I was like, okay, we're doing this. We're doing this. No matter what, I'm all fucking in. So dude, like, I do the fights, right? I do the fight, and It ended up not even being the guy that Hakeem fought, but ended up being like a Thai who was still like very experienced. I don't know how many fights he has. You know, at the time I thought it was like 200. Like shortly after the fight was over, I thought it was like maybe like 200, but I actually don't know. Maybe he has like 50 or 60 fights. Doesn't even matter, right? It obviously, compared to my zero fights, you know, and like, yeah. So I do the fight, and I unfortunately end up losing by TKO. I guess it's a KO, right? In the second round with knees, and then he cut me open with an elbow in the first round as well, and that was just like, it was just like, talk about real adrenaline and a real stress. So compare this to when I was working a desk job, right? When I was working a desk job, I felt like this chronic stress of like, I'm behind on targets. I'm behind on this. I'm not listening to I'm not able to execute on what the managers and the directors are saying. And it's just like, oh, the stress of like, you're not hitting quota. Who gives a fuck about that? Who gives a fuck about that? When you compare that to the stress of you're in the ring, 300 people are watching, this guy is trying to knock you out and cut you open. Like, it was just such a big mindset shift of like, stresses that matter and stresses that don't matter. Like for the first time ever, I felt a positive stress, and I knew it was a positive stress. I knew that adrenaline that I felt going into that ring it was a stress that was here to help me perform. It was a stress that was going to help me fight or flight, and I chose fight. For the first time ever, I chose to fight back. What a crazy like 180 that I took, right? It was such an eye-opening experience to me, going from like a victim, passive NPC mentality to like fighting back. It was a crazy eye-opening experience, right? So after I lost the fight, well, first of all, I cried, and then I called my mom. I was like, oh, I lost. And I was just like, I was pretty harsh on myself, man. Yeah, I was quite harsh on myself. Um, but it changed my life. Doing that fight changed my life, and it made me realize that like there's no point in feeling like this chronic negative stress of being a good employee and making good money and revenue for the shareholders and the managers who are also just like completely brainwashed into the whole like, we must please the rich people, we must right, that shit, right? Compared to like, hey, like, I act for myself. I fight back for me. This is all for me. I am basically the main character of my fucking life, right? And I knew I could never go back to being an employee. I knew I could never, ever, ever go back to being an employee. It's impossible. So, the reality of things is, I ended up going back to Canada. And I found a job. I had to get a job because, dude, I basically put myself in debt, right? Because of how much money I spent during those 3 months. And like, I ended up changing my flights a bunch of times. And then I ended up doing all these trips because I had to see family and my girlfriend at the time as well. I had a girlfriend at the time, and she was really upset that I went to Thailand for 3 months, and just like she didn't understand this completely like dramatic change that I had mentally, and I had to like rekindle it a bit by doing like a trip with her. And I have so much respect for her. If you're watching this, I doubt she's gonna watch this ever. I really doubt she's gonna watch this video all the way till the end. But yeah, like I have a lot of respect for her, and yeah, like I'm sorry that I had to do what I did, but I don't regret it. Right? I don't regret having taken all this time to pursue like a real my new purpose, right? But I basically went in debt so that I could during that trip, right? And I was like, okay, well, I have to get some money back in order to um, get back on my feet. So I did. I got a job, and I actually made a bunch of money in that job. Plus, I had some other things going on for me where I was just taking risks with. Should I share this? Yeah, I share it with crypto. I had things really really pay off for me, and I won't lie to you, man. I manifested a lot of shit for myself. I was like, I'm gonna get to this amount of money, and I did, and it's fucking insane. It's absolutely fucking insane that I made it happen, right? Just how now I'm building an online business, and I want to basically teach people who were in the same position as me to take risks and to bet on themselves and to fight back for themselves. Like that is the business that I'm building on. That is what it is that I want to offer to you, the viewer, right? And I know that shit is going to be the most lucrative and most life fulfilling thing that I pursue. This is my life's work, right? Like this is my life's work. This is what I'm all in on. But yeah, so I did have to get a job so I could get back on my feet. I did make a bunch of money, and now I moved to Thailand, and I've done 4 pro fights since. I also did 2 amateurs in back in Canada during that 1 year where I was working that corporate job. But yeah, now I'm in a position where like I'm all in on the job. I have a client. I'm looking to scale this even further. I know with 100% certainty that this is gonna fucking pay out, and I can't wait to work with the people who resonate with this message. I cannot fucking wait to deliver the exact same results that I had for me to you, and help you have those eye-opening moments about what truly fucking matters in life and what it's like to fight back for yourself. Woo! Okay, dude, 23-minute rambling video. Thank you for watching. Peace out.